Warning, this podcast, website, and associated social media accounts are intended for audiences of legal drinking age. We do not advocate overconsumption or the abuse of alcohol. Never drink and drive, drink responsibly. And please remember to always take what we say with a grain of salt. After all, we are just some dudes with some brews.
We started out by crawling out from under the thumb of the man. The lovers of God with dad bods, just trying to feed our fam. Go sit right there and grab a beer, you know just what to do. Throw it back, get hammered, and listen to dudes and brews.
No, man, Sean, I really appreciate you letting us come out and pick your brain a little bit, talk to you about it. I know when we were here in the summer, we had a blast. This was one of the breweries that stood out. I think it was your wife that actually called me and my buddy out about looking like nerds, sniffing our beers and sipping them real slow. So she said, "Hey, turn around. You got the brewers right behind you." So it was great to meet you then, and good to be able to talk to you now. So you're the owner, head brewer.
That's correct.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to the beginning here. Yeah. So how did you get started in craft beer? Tell me your craft beer origin story.
Well, I started home brewing, probably in 2004, 2005 time frame, and that was when I was working for a company that was doing fermentation. So living in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the beer scene back then wasn't the greatest.
Right.
So home brewing was how you got decent beers, right? Unless you want to drive to Colorado, California, Vermont, whatever, or get there anyway. So I just started home brewing that way so I could have, what I would consider decent beer. And I just continued to do that for years because I found it quite enjoyable and relaxing. I looked forward to doing it.
Nice.
And my background gave me a lot of technical skills that I got to bring to the home brewing side of things. And I think that helped make my homebrew, good enough that, your next door neighbors come over and tell you how great it is.
Right.
So, and then over the years, I would accumulate recipes and just kept brewing them over and over again, getting them to the point where I thought, okay, this recipe's done. And I would just cycle through my homebrew recipes forever. And I was doing this the entire time I was working in the biofuels field. And eventually me and my wife decided that we were going to go ahead and open a brewery. So that's what we did.
So took that hobby into business.
So we had been moving. I'd been moving around a little bit for work, and we had been. We had gone to Denver. We had gone to Chicago, and we were both, I think, ready to come home. We had been gone for 5 or 6 years, and we wanted to get back to Fayetteville, and we were trying to figure out what would be a good avenue. And I had brewed a couple of times with a brewer friend, Rick, in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, and he was doing. He had a small brewery Riccoli. This guy was just making fantastic beers, and I just decided one day, I'd go in there and see what it was like to brew on, a semi-commercial scale.
Yeah, commercial system, yeah.
And I thought, this guy's doing a great job on a little small-scale system. I think I might be able to, do this also if we move back to Fayetteville. So it seemed like that would be the platform we would use to get back to Fayetteville.
Okay.
I did that with him, went through several brews with him, and just really, and I was like, man, this is fun. This guy's got a good life, and at about that time, we just, once we got to the point where we had decided, okay, this looks like something we can do, we can move back, we just went ahead and just pulled the trigger. I mean, closed up shop and moved back to Fayetteville and made this our full-time endeavor. Liz had a job that kind of helped support it, because if you're not open, and there's no one. It took a year to build the place, so it.
So y'all had this place built here then?
I built it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
when you say you mean like you're the one that put up the?
I mean, I'm the one that built it.
You raised the walls.
Nice. I did everything here.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
Well, we had no money. When you're a broke brewer, you got to do everything yourself. I couldn't afford to pay all the people to come in and help me do this.
Right.
I mean, I had friends come in and help and do stuff like that, and the things that required permitting, I had the plumbers and the electricians do that, but all the build out that I could do myself was done myself, especially on the brewery side.
That's awesome.
There's no city requirements that you know how to put together a fermenter.
Right.
So I did it like that. So that just got us going here in Fayetteville.
That is awesome to see that you built this place. I really like it. I like the location is nice.
Well, it worked out great. So my in-laws, my wife's parents, kind of sweetened the deal. They were like, "Look, we have a place that you could utilize, but it's going to take some work." And so this place was in pretty rough shape. It had to be, ripped down. It was just this building actually over here, and it had to be gutted.
Yeah.
And then this was built. The tap room was built as a lean-to on this building right here. But we had this location here, so we didn't have to go looking for a place in Fayetteville.
Sure.
I mean, because it's there's not, you can't just be like, oh, I want a brewery and that's the location I want. That's just not how it works. So we had this place available to us, so we were like, okay, perfect. We'll start here and we'll keep it small and easy and just have a pretty laid back life.
Yeah. So when you were brewing with that guy in Colorado, you said he had a small system. What size system did
Rick, he was at the time, I believe he was on a 3-barrel system. Okay. And he was put when he was making the wort, it was like at the very top of the tank, He was pushing it. And I think he's since upgraded. I haven't been back to see him in a couple of years. But I know that he was getting every little bit out of that thing that he could. It was quite impressive,
So when you were home brewing, were you doing just 5-gallon batches?
I started, like everybody else, I started using extract batches, and then quickly got tired of that.
For sure.
And then, if you're going to go ahead and brew, all grain batches, I went up to 10 gallons right away, because neighbors like your beer, like whether it's good or not, it's free, so they'll drink it, so you might as well make enough of it.
Right.
And after a while, I slowly started upgrading my system until the point where I was at a 20-gallon all electric system.
Oh, cool.
And it was, obviously when you have a little bit more control over your system, changed the quality of your beer.
For sure.
Too. Allowed, that system actually allowed me to use those brews, those recipes to scale because they were I would say they were well put together beers.
Right. So going from the 20 gallons at home to 3 barrels was a significant jump.
We're 2 barrels here, back here.
Right. Oh, okay. Here. Okay,
here. We're here. Yeah, two barrels here. So not a huge jump. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's 3 times.
Right.
So not that big of a jump. So they're small batches, and if they weren't exactly the way you wanted, they were still good. They were still good beers, and then you could just tune the next batch without having to worry about dumping 60 gallons of beer.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of breweries do like 1 barrel, or I've seen some with 2-barrel systems that's just like they use it for R&D only.
Yep. Well, I mean, we use ours now for specialty beers only.
Oh,
so
cool.
We use our production facility for our standards, and then I use this for all our specialty beers.
Like all your one-offs, like your seasonals or whatnot. So at your production facility, what size system do you have over there?
It's a 7-barrel brew house.
7-barrel? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So it gives you a little bit of breathing room.
For sure.
Each batch, you're not brewing every week the same beer. It gives you the opportunity to you only have to brew 2 or 3 times a week instead of every day.
Yeah, versus every day.
Yes. Yeah.
I bet that has definitely helped.
It helps your sanity.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know.
So, like, did you guys just get too big for the 2 barrel? Is that why you guys had to open up the system?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We got too big. We just had more people than we expected to have. You know, we just thought we'd be a small neighborhood pub, and this 2 barrel system. We started with the 2 barrel brew house and four fermenters and a bright tank, and I was like, this is all we're ever going to need.
Yeah.
And because we were only open 4 days a week, that's all we wanted. We wanted to keep it slow and easy.
Yeah.
And, you know, you just don't get to choose that sometimes, I guess. So we started having more and more customers come in, which was a fantastic thing. It was a really, it was a really cool thing, actually. But it got to the point where you just 2 barrels, you just can't keep up with, you know, that with customer demand. So we had to go ahead and expand. And it happened to be in the middle of COVID, you know, which was quite weird.
Yeah.
You know, but
so how long had you done it with just the 2 barrels before you were like, hey, we need to
about a year
production?
Just a little over a year.
It took you only a year.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, that's great that you guys have that community support out here.
Yeah, they've been. Our community support's fantastic. You couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, just nice people that come in here. You know, they come in here nice and they leave nicer.
Right. So where did the name Crisis Brewing come from?
Well, that was, we kind of made a joke about a midlife crisis when we were trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, I get that.
So I was like, do I want to continue to work in a corporate career? Does my wife want to continue to work in a corporate career? We were not we were not living where we were from, where we wanted to be. And that's when, you know, we were like, well, let's just pack it all. It's midlife crisis. Let's just pack it all up, move home, start a brewery. And it was kind of a joke between me and her that just kind of stuck. And we're like, well, what are you going to call the brewery? And I was like, Crisis Brewing, you know, looks like something's, you know, on the horizon. So it seemed perfect, actually.
Right.
You know, had a lot of pushback from my friends. They're like, that's the stupidest name I've ever heard. And I was like, I'll just let it grow on you just for a little bit.
Right. And can you tell me about the logo as well?
Yeah. One of our friends here in Fayetteville, who is a graphic designer, worked with my wife, and together they worked to figure out the logo. She's an amazing designer, Brittany Phillips. And the whole idea was kind of like a Rorschach test here. You know, is the beer putting out the fire, or is the beer adding flame, or, you know, adding fuel to the flame? Yeah. So, and it just worked with how we were feeling, the vibe that we wanted from the pub. And when she got this kind of finalized, we were like, that is the one.
Oh, cool.
Know.
Yeah, I always, when I saw it for the first time, I thought like campfire is what it made me think of, which works for this area and what you guys have doing here in the state. But then it made me think with the name Crisis, I was like, is he like a firefighter in a past life? Like, it made me think about a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes. So. Well, that's good. You know, that makes you think. So it's a good logo, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I enjoyed it. It's nice and simple. It does what it needs to do.
Yes.
So
clean.
Correct. Clean. And I did recognize that when I was here last about your guys' beer as well. Very nice and clean brews.
Yeah, thank you.
So, question: when you went from home brewing, you said that you had developed a couple of recipes. Did you bring those to the brewery when you started? Yeah,
of course. All my beers came from my homebrew recipes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, I take that back. Of course, over time, some of the specialty beers weren't homebrew, but the beers that we opened the brewery with were all homebrew recipes.
Homebrews, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then as a home brewer, you make some crappy beers, and then eventually you go back to the recipe because you're brewing a lot of the same beer, so you wanted to brew something different. And some of those old recipes, I would go back to and look, and with with some more experience under my belt, I was able to change those recipes up and make them beers that I thought were, worth brewing here, and brew them on the small system for our specialty batches.
Oh, nice. So, like, how often do you guys do the specialty batches?
We keep them rolling so that we try to have beers come out about once a week, a new beer once a week.
Nice.
Hard do that, and we don't always
I can imagine
necessarily get that, but we get close. I mean, I have the schedule made out for most of the year in advance, so we know what beers are going to be coming out, so I can see, okay, this week this beer's coming out this week, so we try to do that and just keep that going, and having that small system over there is pretty nice for that, because it answers the question a lot of the times when people come in, like, what's new? And you always have an answer to that question.
Yeah.
So it's nice having that flexibility.
No, I really enjoy that. Yeah. So one question that I have that I haven't really figured out in being here is, what are you guys really known for when it comes to the beers that you guys brew? Now, some places are known for their sours or IPAs. Do you guys have like a specialty?
I mean, I don't know that we have a specialty beer. I think we're just known for solid beers. Like you can come in here and get a variety of different beers. Well, I mean, I like IPAs. I like lagers. I like I don't like sours. So I don't brew them. I figure if you don't like them, you're probably not going to be very good at making them.
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong, but so I haven't really tried my hand on it. But we try to brew just about everything, and it just because we're craft beer, right? So the idea is to brew a lot of different beers. We don't have one single brand or one single beer that we're selling. We like to hit lots of different types of beers, and it just keeps things interesting.
Right. And I have seen that when the styles that you do, you just do true to style. You don't worry about flavoring it up. Like your cream ale.
Try not to, yeah.
Most cream ales that I think I've have had something additional in it, some sort of other flavor.
Yeah, like
I thought it was nice that you guys just nutted up and said, let's just do a straight cream ale.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of cream ale like this isn't sweet and tastes like vanilla. And I was like, well, because that's like an IBC cream ale, not a
yeah, exactly.
Cream ale is a style of beer, not the flavor of the beer.
Right.
So yeah, I do try to stay true to style on a lot of beers. Most beers, in fact, I think hundreds of years of brewing tradition has gotten people correct on the styles, and
for sure.
So I try to stick with that, and that pays a little homage to all the people that did all that work to get that beer the way it was, But I don't mind changing things up a little bit. Like I'll take a West Coast IPA. I don't mind making it taste a little bit more like a New England style. Get blending a little of both. But they're two distinct styles. So that's a little bit of mixing it up. But in general, like if I brew a Kolsch, it's not going to be a hop bomb or anything. It's going to be a light fruity malty beer.
This is like here in America, we tend to overly hop the majority of our beers. Yeah. I like to homebrew, and I've entered into a few different homebrew competitions, and I always get the same feedback that it needs to be hoppier. Yeah. And I'm like, but I brewed a British Golden.
Yeah, it's not
supposed to be hoppy.
Yes.
So I like that you guys do that. You don't conform to what most people want, which is just hop bombs.
Yes.
And
I mean, I like the hop bombs. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like all. That's just not everything that I want.
It's to style.
Yes.
There's certain styles that need those hop bombs. But I can definitely appreciate that. That's one thing that I've seen the craft beer scene, at least in North Texas, that it seems that they're going away from that.
Yeah.
They're trying to appease the masses versus just staying true to what you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, craft beer just evolves seems like on a daily basis almost.
Oh, for sure.
And you as a business, you try to make the beers that appeal to people, and then you try to balance out with making the beers that you like at the same time.
No, that's 100% true. Making the beers that you like.
Yeah.
Because we just did a competition for an Irish Red.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan of an American Red.
Yeah.
So I did really low.
Yeah.
Hops. They told me I needed more hops, which I'm like, I kind of expected that to begin with. They said it was a little sweet.
Sure. And
I'm like, well, that's why, because it didn't have a lot of hops in it. Yeah. So, but I brewed it because that's the way I like it.
Sure.
So I totally get saying, hey, let's brew beers that I'm going to enjoy.
Yep. And I like to think I like to think that my what I think is good is actually good. So it kind of works out in my favor. Like if I brew it and I enjoy it, I'm like, oh yeah, well I thought it was good. Maybe everybody else is too.
Right.
So
do you guys have like a I'm gonna say it like a vetting process when it comes to putting beer out to production? Do you have like partners that come into play to say, hey, I think this is good enough to go to production?
No, we do that in-house,
sure.
and I would really enjoy having that resource available. I've started talking to a couple of the local brewers around here that thought might be interested in doing that. We could get together and do some sensory analysis of each other's beers. Just because you get together and talk, and then you have somebody that knows what they're talking about. Say, okay, you explain to them what you were going for, and they can tell you whether you got it, you missed it, maybe you should try this, and that way you can get your friends and your fellow brewers engaged and kind of get a resource that we just don't have really around here. It's not we're not a huge brewery with a giant payroll where we can have a sensory panel come in, or on top of that, just trying to get people in, volunteer to do that. That's actually quite a bit of work just arranging something like that, and when you're going 90 to nothing all the time, you can just kind of rely on yourself and, the people that work here to decide whether or not that beer is going to make muster when you put it on tap.
100%. And I didn't even thought about something external. I didn't know that those were even options.
Oh, no.
I was talking about internal, like, do you have veto power over everything? Like, if I don't think it's good, then I'm the one that says no, or like...
No, like if I don't like it, it doesn't make it.
Yeah.
But in general, and I'm a pretty, I wouldn't call myself a harsh critic, but I definitely, like, if I can tell that there's something not right with the beer the way it's supposed to be, then we don't serve it. Like, we're trying to be, you try to hang your hat on quality, and then, you can't serve a beer that's not quality and then hang your hat on that at the same time.
Right.
So
no, it sounds like you're very good at that. As a team, it seems like you guys do a really good job, because like I've said, all the beers that we had were phenomenal.
Well, we try very hard. So, a lot of times they come out good, sometimes they don't.
It happens to the worst of us. So, but no, man, it's really interesting. I love that you came back to where your roots were kind of planted. That makes me feel good to know that you're homegrown here.
Yeah, I like it too. I like this town a lot. It's a great place to live, a nice place to work. Friends, family. It's just hard to beat.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you want to grab a beer and geek out a little bit?
Certainly.
Right, let's do it.
We got several to choose from. I'll leave it up to you. This one's called Yo Adrian. So, Yo Adrian, I did it. So you have to be a certain generation to understand that one of our bartenders didn't know what that meant, and I was like,
"Oh no, really?
Dude, you haven't seen Rocky?" So it was so we brewed this in collaboration with a local restaurant that they have a Italian pizza that they wanted to put out, so we made an Italian pizza. And they're Smoke and Oak, and it's a pizza location here in Fayetteville. They're great guys, and the beer was to kind of go with that setup, and just kind of be a collaboration with local partners, and they're just nice people, and you like to do nice things for nice people, and hopefully they feel the same way about you do them.
Right. No, I love that. I love that idea. It's hilarious to me to think that somebody doesn't know what Rocky is.
I know. You're like, well,
I'm not that old, and I'm just like, I think my kids have even seen Rocky. It's wild to me.
It was a great movie, But so, an Italian Pilsner, my understanding of an Italian Pilsner is it is a crisp German Pilsner that has, English dry hop character to it. So that's the thing that makes it stand out from what I would call a normal German Pilsner, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So it gets dry hopped, slightly after primary fermentation's over, and you rack it off those hops so that you don't get all the grassy flavors from it from lagering for the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
So and it mellows that stuff out. So what it gives you is a crisp lager with you can taste that softness of that herbal kind of floral noble German hop in there, and it's got a dry, crisp body to it like you'd expect from a Pilsner. So I don't know, I don't think it's I know that it's not like a formal style. Like you don't like BJCP doesn't recognize an Italian Pilsner.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. Like, what makes it Italian?
So
to me, it sounds like
it's the dry hop. That's exactly what it is. So it changes the character of a German Pilsner a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was made. I can't remember the guy that made it. He was an Italian guy, and I think
that's why some Italian.
So he developed the recipe and. That from that recipe he was he was given this is the guy that invented the recipe. So I figure, it's a good beer, when you think about Peroni beers like that, it's an Italian Pilsner, right? And those are good beers. I love eating pizza with those beers, eating Thai food with a light beer and stuff like that. So I'd never brewed one, so I brewed German Pilsners before, but I was like, all right, let's just dry hop a German Pilsner and see how it works.
Yeah.
And it works pretty good.
That's awesome.
That's a decent beer.
Like I got started in craft beer and just drank all the American styles and really liked the just American pale ale. But then as of late, meaning in the last couple of years, I've expanded out to the other region. To the English beers, the German beers, and I've really gotten into a German Pilsner. Honestly, to this day, I think the Germans do beer the best.
Well, they do. I'd say they might do Pilsners the best. I would say American craft brewers do beer the best. I think the best beer scene in the world is in the United States.
The beer scene here is ridiculous. Yeah. I like the styles that they do in Germany. So their German Pilsner, I think that's...
If they brew the same thing over and over and over and over, they better get it right.
When you're stuck to the Reinheitsgebot, you only got so much that you can do. So, it's... so this was a phenomenal idea, just to dry hop it.
Yeah.
I would have never thought about dry hopping a German Pilsner.
No, you wouldn't. And it turned out good too. And you're like, why didn't everybody do this? It's nice. It gives it a subtleness towards the end of that. That mild, noble hop flavor, and it's a little bit unusual in a German Pilsner, but it works.
No, what I like about a German Pilsner is the spicy nobles, and it's just accentuated even more with this.
Yes,
which is very, very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Now you were saying that you got some sort of weird
it was they call it so Hop Heaven out of Oregon. Okay. That's where I get my hops from, and Ted does a blending of different German hops. I don't know what all of them are, but he blends it into one called Edelweiss, and that's his German hop. And he sent that to me one time with a Pilsner recipe to make for the first time with that, and I made it, and it was a fantastic beer. And after that, I was like, these hops are wonderful. So I've just been buying those from him, and I've been using, on some of the different Pilsners I make, I use that with, some of the other German hops just to, kind of change things up a little bit, give it a different flavor, but still one that's, familiar.
Oh, for sure. Is this something that's only available commercially, or can you get it in this?
Oh, no. So no, you can't
or did he make it just?
No, he didn't make it just for me. He just
hops, I'm sorry.
No, he does it himself. He does that blend himself. So I don't think you're not going to go find it in a homebrew store around here.
No, but I might be able to buy some online.
You probably could.
That sounds like a good idea to do.
Like Hop Heaven, the guy is amazing. That's where I get all my hops from.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to look into that, because there's certain German nobles that you use Saaz or Tet or Hallertau, and you already have them blended in.
Yes, in one.
Cool, I don't have to worry about it. I just do it all at once. We're good to go.
And the aroma of the hops are amazing too.
Yeah.
You're just like, wow, I like this.
No, this is clean. It's crisp. Your lagering is phenomenal.
Yeah, and
That's one thing that I really judge a brewery on is how good they lager beers.
Well, that's
because you can't hide anything behind.
That's a good standard. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Like it's hard to lager beers here. Like our system was designed for ales only. It really stresses my glycol system because you know it's not. It wasn't designed to keep things cold at 35. For sure. Like I got these ales running, and when I'm crashing, or when I'm knocking out into a fermenter, my glycol system's getting wrecked because trying to drop it down to fermentation temperature while holding this at near freezing. I'm like, this little poor system, So I gotta stage my lagers too.
Right. So this was done here then.
It was done here. Yeah. So almost like most of the lagers are done here. A couple of them that have been well received, I'll do a 5 or 7 barrel batch at the production facility. Mm-hmm. Way easier to do it down there. They're insulated tanks with a system that's designed to manage the temperature control for lagers.
Right. So like what are your cores? Or your flagship or core beers?
Well, you can turn around and look at them right there. So we have a cream ale, which is your standard kind of long. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter. Like you can call them core, standards. House with like just whatever. We do an inverted pale ale, which I tried to make it after Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale, because I think that's an amazing beer.
It's the quintessential,
And I wanted something, that, of course you're not going to replicate it, but you can get something that people, like that. And I really like that beer because, you want a beer that you can always drink, and that's one you can come back to.
Right.
And we have a West Coast IPA, the Identity, a double IPA. Then we have a red, kind of a light brown. Then we have a brown, a stout, and then we have a hazy IPA. Also, those become our standards. So we got 8 standards on tap.
Yeah, I love the variety that you guys have. As far as the standards go, making the red, the brown, like as a part of a core, because I don't know. I mean, they're not super popular styles.
They are not. But it turns out that even though they're not like super popular styles, they move just fine. That's why we keep them, because people do appreciate having the variety, and having an Irish Red on tap. Surprisingly, that's one of our better selling beers. Which
sure.
when you go back and look at it, you're like, wow, really?
No, I get it. There's a bar in town that I go to specifically because they got an Irish Red on tap.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see it everywhere.
Yeah, you don't.
So that definitely helps stand out in the crowd. That's awesome that people here are receptive to those different styles.
Yeah. I mean, it's craft. These people that come here for craft beer, and like you need to have those styles available, I think.
Yeah. It's wild. The more people I've talked to, the more I've seen the scene expand. Yeah. It seems like there are a select few that come in for like your light lagers, or even for something that's not beer, and I'm just like, why are you at a brewery if you don't want beer?
Yeah. Well, they're probably here with somebody that likes beer.
Exactly. So it is refreshing to see that as the scene grows, the people, their palates are wanting more, which is great, because I've always considered myself a little bit of a nerd when it comes to beer, because I like so many different things, but I'm not the masses. I'm not what's paying your bills. Me, this one guy coming in is not paying the bills. So
actually, you're the exact type of person that's paying the bills.
Okay.
You're not the masses. You are a person that cares about craft beer.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. So is it the brown that you have? It's an American brown.
It's an American brown. So it was I tried to make a English nut brown like after Newcastle, man, and I just couldn't get it right. I mean, I tried, and it turned, after a while, I also realized that Newcastle blends different beers together to get their beer. So that's another technical step in there that I didn't realize. But I mean, I just couldn't get this ale to come out the way I wanted as an English style ale, so I made some changes to slight changes to the malt bill and the hop bill, and adjusted the yeast, and now all of a sudden you have an American brown.
Dude, that's awesome.
And and it's a good beer. It's a good American brown beer, and it just came out of the fact that I was just unable to make a good English brown. That is fine. Sometimes things that don't work out end up working out in the end. Yes. So
That's fascinating the way that
Yeah.
came about, and it's now one of the standards.
Yes, it was great.
Yeah, you get to have the people speak to what really works.
Yep.
And it sounds like that one just really works.
So
compared to your English that you tried.
Yeah, that one did not work. The English one.
Right.
No, it didn't work for me, so it didn't make it.
Yeah. Man, this has been phenomenal. I really appreciate you letting me come in and talk to you. This beer's great. I'm gonna have to see if I can get some of this to go because this is
you
awesome.
definitely can. Yeah.
This is an awesome beer that I need to share with others.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. There's a buddy of mine that his son goes to school out here, and he was like, "Hey, when you guys go, you got to make sure to hit up Crisis." And I'm really glad I listened to him.
Yeah, tell your buddy thank you.
I wouldn't have met you, and I wouldn't have experienced everything that you guys are doing. So, what do you have planned coming up? You have anything big coming up?
The closest thing we have coming up, we do our annual New Year's Eve for old people party. So
cool.
that's a couple months out, obviously. But we just finished. We just did our Oktoberfest party, and that was pretty crazy. It was actually quite awesome. And then now it takes a little while to get everything ready for the New Year's party.
Nice.
So that's the thing that we're gearing up for this year.
So look out for the New Year's party. You call it the old people.
The New Year's,
party?
it's the New Year's Eve for old people.
Okay, that means it
ends. So we do the ball drop at 6:00 p.m.
Nice.
So that all the old folks can ring in the new year and go home.
Love it.
Yeah, it's
Love
great.
it. So come check them out, man. This has been great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, man. Dude, this is honestly this beer's great. This beer's phenomenal.
I appreciate it. I mean, I like it a lot. I mean, I like
We appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode of Dudes and Brews. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform you're on. We're on there. We have a YouTube channel, Dudes and Brews. We would love if you would subscribe there as well. If you are subscribed and you want to help us out just a little more, unsubscribe and resubscribe again. It sounds funny and stupid and kind of obnoxious, all of the subscribing and resubscribing and stuff, but it helps in these little algorithms games for like climbing the charts, because again, we are organic and we are where we are because of you guys.
Yeah, we really do appreciate your support. Shout us out. We really do love it when you guys interact with us, when you add us, mention us, put us on your stories, tag us, all that fun stuff, all the stuff the kids are doing. We like grabbing that stuff and we put it up for you guys. So we appreciate you so much. Keep having fun, drinking them brews, hanging with them dudes. Tune in next week for another episode of Dudes and Brews.